to highlight all things positive on and off the table. And tonight we have a very, very special lineup. We got Cody Wood and we got Bob Brown on screen. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. They're going to be part of the main event of the Send It Supermatch and tournament event happening in Winston-Salem at the Roar. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining me. How is your lovely Monday doing?
Can't complain. It's a Monday.
My life's kind of a joke. So yeah, no, my Monday was good. I'm, pretty much retired. I had to burn a bunch of limbs for my wife this morning, so did that. Did my normal morning workout. Relaxed. Then
Just out of curiosity, Bob, was it the limbs that Cody cut off, in the video?
Probably, yeah, that was one of them. Yeah, I burned it. So put it on nubs.
I hope, Cody, I really do hope, though, you didn't throw those away. Like you have them somewhere, sitting somewhere, on a shelf of their own, because that's a memory of a lifetime right there.
It's still sitting out. It's my leg treat, and I've got it sitting out in the yard. So whenever I do want to make a video, it's just right out there, right by the porch.
Thanks. What was that? What was the movie that was way before your time? And there was in the movie they had it's like a Christmas story, and there was a lamp. That was,
yeah, it's A Christmas Story is what the movie is called. It's Fred Healy.
Oh yeah, and so that's what I want to see done with that leg at Cody's house. I want it to be displayed in the backyard.
Put a lampshade on it.
What would be perfect is if I brought the mop head with me and we could put the mop head on top of the leg.
I think
What's funny is when I cut the leg in half, I was like, now I got to find another freaking leg. So then I wandered around the yard for like an hour, couldn't find a better leg. So then I wouldn't get the duct tape and just duct taped the heck of it to keep my leg.
Oh, that's awesome. By the way, I'm waiting. You've only got a couple more days to get out your final video.
I've got a video. I've just been super busy with the handles. The goal is to get it out tonight, and then I realized, oh crap, I got another interview. So I'll either get it out tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, good.
I gotta say, for those of you who have been living under a rock somewhere, anybody who's watching, please go ahead to Cody Wood and Bob Brown's social media channels. They have the best, hands down, the best banter. They really wrote a clinic on how do you get everyone excited about a match. I mean, I already know these two gentlemen, and I'm even that much more excited about it. I'm enthralled with what's Cody to come up with next after Bob's amazing, pouring out the water and mopping the picture of Cody. That was amazing. Like you guys, if you don't do well in arm wrestling in the next future, you got it for directing, other athletes to help follow suit. Because if you guys need help, reach out to these guys for pointers.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, I had called up Cody and I'm like, hey, you want to build this up a little bit? And, we set a couple ground rules. I'm like, joke about my leg, my Tourette syndrome. I don't care. Leave the wives and girlfriends out of it. And I got a good sense of humor. I got thick skin. I don't give a crap. And when he put that first video out and I'm sitting and I'm watching, and of course he's got two legs and he's 40 pounds overweight, whatever it was. He's like, oh, wait a minute. And he takes off one leg. I'm like, all right, that's good. But then he's still overweight. And I'm like, all right, what's he going to do? And then it cuts to that cut. I was laughing so hard. I was literally crying. That was so funny. It was like, oh shit, I gotta step my game up. That was awesome.
I showed my family. I showed my family who they follow a little bit of arm wrestling, and that's my wife she couldn't remember your name for the life of her, so she calls you Viking Barbie. And I said, check out what Viking Barbie just did. And she knows Bob because Bob was here at a seminar. And she's like, Oh my God, she was in tears.
Bro, my mom is still like, I did not raise you to be like that. How dare you make fun of somebody with a disability? I'm like, he gave me permission.
Yes. To Cody Wood's mom, yes, we discussed it ahead of time. He had my permission. So if you're watching this, it was totally perfectly okay. But now,
Oh.
Cody, you know where I got the name Viking Barbie from.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah, my mom literally refused to like any of my posts because she's like, I didn't raise you to be that way.
Oh
You should
my
be ashamed.
Oh, that's gold though. That's absolute gold. And um, you know, for those at home, communicate with your obviously your opponent. Make sure they're okay with something like this because these guys clearly got the green light from each other. Um, so a little background. We're gonna do a little bit of a background check. We're gonna start off with you, Cody. Cody, how long have you been arm wrestling for?
Going on 7 years now. I started, I think it was September 2019,
Okay.
and continued on until now. I took a short little break period like after I started because in Georgia for a while there was no such thing as a 154 tournament. So like my first tournament was 176. Then my next tournament, it was a 176, but they combined the 176 and 198 because they didn't have enough people in the 198. So then here I am, like 145-pound cross country runner, going up against 198-pound dudes. And I'm like, well, if I don't even have a weight class, why would I continue in a sport? I'm getting. I lost my because I got second that day, and I was like, I lost to a dude that was like cut to make 198 pounds. And I'm 145 pounds. Like, this is lame. And then there was a 154 round robin, and then after that, I was like, okay. And then I kind of like just continued training since there was like actually a weight class for me.
So you came from a cross country background.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you doing that for?
Oh, my whole life. I started track in 4th grade, cross country in 7th grade, and like I've always enjoyed running. And then right after my senior year, that's when I was running the most. I was doing 80 miles a week, and then I eventually right after I graduated, I pulled my Achilles because I was just overtraining, and then that's when I kind of got in arm wrestling because my stepdad was like, "There's an arm wrestling tournament where I work. You've always been able to beat the football players like at the lunchroom table, so you'll be great at this." And then I got third in the novice class in a 176 novice class, and just kind of kept with it after that.
Nice. So you went from one of the most mobile sports to ever known to man to one of the most stationary sports known to man. That's a pretty interesting transition.
this
Bob.
explains a lot. Now, because
Yeah.
the only sport dumber than arm wrestling is running. Long distance running has got to be the dumbest sport in the world.
It's certainly the most painful, in my opinion.
Oh my God. Yeah. I have you, Cody, have you met Brian Johnson, who lives in Montana?
I might have. I'm not sure. I'd have to look and see the face.
He arm wrestled at that event that I came up to, and you were there last February, whatever it was. And he had wars with whoever his opponent was. And he's been arm wrestling a long time. He got out of arm wrestling because he got into doing these marathons, or no, I'm sorry, triathlons. And then he really liked running, so he started doing these 100-mile races in the mountains. I'm like, Brian, you're an idiot. I mean, come on, that's just terrible.
It's on my bucket list. It is on my bucket list because I mean,
do a 100-mile race.
Marathon, ultra marathon, and Ironman. They're all on my bucket list.
Oh
like,
man,
the runner mindset's still there because in my opinion, running, like distance running, is the hardest sport in the world. Because I mean, any other sport, like it's a game. It's more so like a game. It's fun. You're competing with somebody else. Running, you can just like quit at whatever point, and like then the pain stops.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not. Yeah. I don't disagree. It's one of the hardest sports in the world, no question about it. And because the training for it just takes so freaking long, and then the competition takes so long. I know a number of extremely high-end runners. Tyler LeBaron is one who's a smaller guy, and he's like a 220 marathoner.
That's legit.
Yeah, no, he's
very legit.
and then he's strong. He's like he decided to enter one of these like Spartan race competitions one time, and it's like
Those
his
are fun.
yeah, it's his first time ever doing it. They put him in the elite class, and he got third place overall.
So I actually went pro for obstacle course racing, Savage races, right in high school.
Oh,
So that's why I was running so much out of high school, was to train for those, and then that's when I pulled my Achilles.
gotcha. Do you still run now?
No, my Achilles flares up anytime I train for it.
So, but it's still on your bucket list. So how do we solve that problem?
Eventually, I'll start doing more rehab stuff. Like, my goal is to accomplish everything I want to in arm wrestling, and then one day, 5-10 years down the line, start training for it again. Maybe do some more rehab stuff.
Well,
focused towards it.
I'll tell you an interesting story then. You know how you've recently discovered the isometric holds where they'll hold for like 30 seconds, rest for 2 minutes, or hold for 10 seconds, rest for 50 seconds, and do multiple rounds. I feel I've seen you do a video about that, and you were trying it to see what you thought about it.
Yeah.
The way that all came about was a guy who had a torn Achilles tendon, and he knew that recovery would be faster if he would just tear it completely, because no one wanted to operate on it unless it was torn completely. So this guy started doing not calf raises, but getting on his calf and and bending downward, let his heel drop and hold a lot of weight. He was attempting to break his Achilles tendon, but he wasn't bouncing on anything. He was just holding. Well, what happened was he didn't not only break it, he healed it, and he didn't know why. And so he starts talking to specialists and blah, blah, blah. And that's what started all the research on isometrics when it comes to healing tendons, was from a guy trying to break his own Achilles tendon.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is not a tendon I would like to pop. That would probably be like the most painful.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's no, no, thank you.
Like mine swelled up like this big around, and every time I walked, you could literally hear it like creaking. Like it would make a creaking sound every time you like moved it.
Oh,
it was
ouch.
And like now I can't wear any. If a shoe has more than like a 4mm heel toe drop, it flares up so fast. Like I can't even stand like for a couple hours without it really flaring up. So I have to wear like certain shoes now, or else it just bugs it.
Wow.
So now, question for you: does that affect your stance at the arm wrestling table?
No, I mean when it's go time, like it doesn't matter if something's torn. Like, you just set all of that aside and hope for the best. Deal with the pain later.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I did exactly that, and I had wished that I had stopped and pumped the brakes, because I ended up needing to get cut open to repair a complete tear. I wasn't trying to heal anything, Bob, but I fucked up my subscapularis and dislocated the bicep tendon. Did a nice number on it, and I just took the sling off today. I got cleared for driving and doing some light activity for rehab, but we'll see where it goes. So, Bob, how long have you been in the sport of arm wrestling?
Oh, same as him, like 7 years. Yeah.
Times how many years?
Yeah. All years. 43 years.
So longer than this young man's been alive.
Almost double.
Probably like most of us arm wrestlers, I'm the kid who I beat all my friends. And I didn't know why, but I can beat anybody. And I was back in 1983. Of course, I live in South Jersey, right across the Walt Whitman Bridge from Philadelphia. So I lived like 4 miles from Philadelphia, and they would block off. I'm forgetting the name of the street. It's the street that Rocky runs up and then runs up the steps to the art museum. They
Okay.
block the entire road, and it's a big, huge festival and fair. So I'm over there for the festival and fair, and there's an arm wrestling tournament. Well, I enter because I'd never been beat, and they didn't charge anything to enter. They just looked at you and said, "Okay, you're a lightweight, you're a middleweight, you're a heavyweight," and I was a lightweight, and so I entered and I won, and I went back the next year and I won, and the next year and I won. Well, then I was driving down the road in Jersey at a bowling alley, and there's a sign that said arm wrestling tournament. So I go. And now here, you could tell it was different. It costs money to enter, multiple weight classes. They're weighing people in. It's left and right handed. They had novice, they had open. I'm like, these guys way more serious. So I entered the one and only novice class I've ever entered in my life. And I got second place. And the guy who got first, me and him, we had just a bloodbath war. So I still think, I'm the greatest arm wrestler in the world, or close to it. Well, that same place, it was a bowling alley. They had another tournament like 3 months later. I went back, and I remember I weighed 167 pounds, and they just let me in the 165s. I entered the open division, and I'm like, I'm just going to kill these guys. And I went 2-0. And I was like, what the frick just happened? Well, then the guy putting on that event happened to be putting on the AAA Nationals, the sit-down Nationals that year in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is like 45 minutes from my house. And so I train as hard as I can train. Of course, all I thought to do was bicep curls. I didn't know anything else. And so I was bicep curls, got my arms real strong. I went down there and I went 2-0. And I do not know. And what's funny is the first guy I lost to, having no idea who he was this skinny black guy that everyone called Cobra. And yeah, I had no idea who he was. So I went up to him after I'm out, and I'm like, how much do you arm curl? And he goes, oh, I use like 35, 40-pound dumbbells. And at the time, I was using 80-pound dumbbells. And I'm like, I don't understand. But I had to walk away. He's still going. So I went over to the practice table. And a guy in my class who was also out, he's like, do you want to arm wrestle? Sure. He killed me. And this is the guy who really, I wish I could remember his name, but he really helped me out. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. I have never lost, and now I can't seem to win. And he goes, well, you need to use back pressure. Well, what's that? And he showed. And so I pulled back, and I stopped him just a little bit, and he put me down. He goes, no. I just want you to go backwards. Don't go sideways at all. Don't try to pin me at all. And so I just pulled back as hard as I could. And we stopped in the center of the table. And he did something with his fingers. And then he put me down. And I was like, wait a minute. Because I learned pretty quick. I've always been very quick at learning. And I'm like, let's go again. And so we stop in the center of the table. I walk his fingers, and I put him down. And then he couldn't beat me after that. And I was like, oh, my God, this thing's all freaking technique. I just got to learn how to arm wrestle. And so, again, that same guy who put on the tournament in the bowling alley and put on this Nationals, his name was Mike Mignona. You might know that name, Daniel.
Oh, yeah. I know him very well.
Yeah, he lived, God rest his soul. He's passed away now. He lived like 10 minutes from my house, and he had a practice. And so I started going to that practice, and, I learned pretty quick. I was always, strong. And so I made gains really rapidly. And that was it. And it was that guy showing me how to arm wrestle on that table that really got me into it. And then, like all of us, I'm sure we're all the same way. I have a saying that I actually heard from Cobra the first time. He's like, winning is okay, but losing really sucks. I hate losing more than I like winning. And so that's, my drive. I hate losing. Now
That's
the older I've gotten better at it, but I used to not be a very nice person to be around if I lost. So
yeah.
yeah,
Learning to navigate a loss is definitely something that's part of the learning process, right?
yes, yes.
We got a
And
couple people in the chat. I just want to shout out that we got watching at home. We got the Drew24. What's up? Devin's Forum. How's it going? Thank you for joining us. Let's see who else we got. I don't think it's just these two gentlemen that are going back and forth. I appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions for Bob or Cody, please feel free to chime in the chat. um, so, Cody, with Bob having more years on the table than you're alive, does that give you the goosebumps? Does that give you, more drive? How does that make you feel? Tell me explain to me when you know that you're going up against somebody who has more experience than you are alive. How are you feeling about it?
Well, I've been around enough, like, older pullers, not older pullers, but like more experienced pullers, like, 20, 30, 40 years in the sport to know, like, years doesn't equal intelligence. Now, Bob is an intelligent guy with lots of years in the sport, but like the years in the sport doesn't really scare me because I've seen guys that are 40 years in the sport and still dumb as a box of rocks. Like when it comes to work moving on the table, but Bob is the smart guy with the experience. So there's always that, like, he's probably going to have an answer to anything I do, but I feel like I've gotten technical enough in the sport to where I do know how to maneuver around most adversities, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing to say about Cody when it comes to that is, I appreciate the kind words. I do feel I'm pretty smart in this sport. I've been doing it a long time, and I know exactly what to do and where to be on the table. The problem, but I also believe Cody is the same way, because even though he's only been pulling for 7 years, I do think he's very smart and he can dial stuff out and figure angles and levers and all that stuff. My arm cannot do what I would like it to be able to do. Like, I used to have a good drag hook, a good knifing hook, a good press, and all those moves are gone. They're just gone. I'm a one trick pony that there are lots of variations to this one trick, but I'm a one trick pony and it works really well. So the only experience I'll have over Cody is if the match stops, which I feel confident it's going to stop at some point. And when it stops and where it stops, I will have been in that situation 100 times. Cody won't. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I can figure it out faster than he can.
So at the stop, do you think if, let's say your reaction times are of equal caliber, is it going to come down to who's stronger at that point?
No.
Because think about it. Let's say you guys can react to each other's counters and, almost on a very exact timing
right
manner.
Then it comes down to muscular endurance.
Fair.
And the ability to recuperate between rounds. I would think that Cody's muscular endurance is better than mine. I just have to believe that. But my ability to recuperate between rounds is extremely good, especially for this particular match, because I'm going down to sea level. My oxygen recuperation is going to be off the charts. When I used to do CrossFit, I did. I don't know if you know much about CrossFit, but there's a workout called Fran where you do pull-ups and oh shit, I'm totally forgot what the other. Oh, pull-ups and thrusters. And my fastest time here was like 5 minutes and 5 seconds to complete the workout. I went to a nationals in Michigan. We were at sea level, and I went to Razor Raoul's gym, and we did Fran. I did it in 4 minutes because my lungs never quit.
So
my lungs always die. Down there, my lungs don't die.
So that's actually a great point, because I've asked other people coming from mountainous areas, some people from Colorado, that have come and competed here, if they would notice a difference, or they feel like they would actually experience a difference. And I guess it's if the match stops, it's a difference felt. But if the match doesn't stop, there's no difference felt.
Well, then it only becomes a benefit to me if this turns into a bloodbath. Because even though I'm much older than Cody, I think I will recuperate between rounds faster than he will.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got an Achilles tendon and he can't run anymore. When he told me he was a runner, I was seriously going, "Oh shit, he's gonna have really good endurance."
But now I just ride dirt bikes for my endurance, because dirt bike riding gives you great endurance. But I haven't gotten to ride as much as I'd like to lately. But I did get to ride a little bit a couple days ago. So
but his muscular endurance will probably be better than mine.
So then, here's another elephant in the room: tendon strength and conditioning. Cody, do you think that his years in the sport and time under tension that he's experienced might actually have a better tendon endurance buildup than yours with only 7 years?
I believe that his tendon endurance and tendon structure is probably stronger than mine. I've always been a very muscular based puller. Like, you'll notice, like, I'm not usually a frame based guy. Like, I don't usually pull here or inside my shoulder a lot. If I'm in a hook, I'm out here. If I'm top rolling, I'm usually really bicep based. Like, I'm a very muscular based puller, not so much a tendon based puller. Which, I mean, does lead me to have like a decent amount of injuries, because I mean, my tendons struggle to keep up with my musculature.
So it's gonna be a battle of attrition if it stops. Of course, will your musculature outlast his tendon holding strength at that point?
I hope it doesn't come to that.
We'll find out.
Because that right there, to me, like, I'm a licensed massage therapist. When they're working on me, I'm nerding out with my physical therapist and my orthopedic surgeon. And so this right here, this match excites me for that different layer of muscular endurance versus tendon strength. But also another X factor is him coming from higher elevation. If it gets into a barn burner of a match, who's got the bigger gas tank that's going to last a little bit longer? And, his gas tank becomes a little bit more inflated because of the fact that he's coming from an elevated place. I love it. I love the factors that are in play here. Granted, that's all if Cody doesn't flash him,
Cody's obviously Cody's going to try to flash me. I mean, that's what everyone tries to do it,
Tries.
Exactly. Most are not successful. But if he can, this is going to be a very boring match. He's going to slam me 3 times and it's going to be over. And then I'm going to take my leg off and beat him to death with it.
Well, I was sitting here thinking, Cody, you're talking about your leg was creaking. You probably have something akin with Bob, because he probably knows his leg creaks from time to time if he doesn't creak it up.
So, but I think it's going to be exciting. The only person that's been able to flash pin me 3 times in a row is Corey Miller. Corey flash pinned me 3 times in a row. Um, Corey has some advantages that Cody does not have. One, Corey's arm is longer than Cody's, which gave him a little bit of advantage in the way he was trying to slam me. And then I don't know if you guys saw that match, but after he beat me, 3-0, and I'm obviously trying to get to the straps and, really couldn't get there. I'm like, all right, Cody or Corey, you win. It's over, but can we just go into the straps and just find out? And we did. He was super nice and like, yep, let's go in the straps and find out. And I was able to stop him, turn it into a barn burner, bring him back and beat
Okay.
him. So I just, even if Cody can slam me once, I believe that, maybe even twice. I just honestly don't believe I can be slammed 3 times. But I've been wrong before. So
That's fair.
that's why
So,
we wrestle. That's why we, you know, asking these types of questions now, a week out, is always entertaining and fun. What drives me crazy is when someone is sitting here, well, Bob, do you think you're going to win? Cody, do you think you're going to beat Bob? And it's 5 minutes before the match. I'm like, guys, just wait 5 minutes and I'll answer the question for you.
right. Well,
So,
Bob, you said, who had what it took to pin you 3 times in a row? Cody, who had what it took to pin you 3 times in a row?
Joseph Morento.
Okay.
Joseph's it's funny because everyone knows me for my hook, but anytime I've lost recently in recent years, it's been to somebody that hooks, not top rolls. And lately, I've really, really liked guys that top roll, specifically Bob's style. It just matches up very well. I think it's because of my injuries. I've had my bicep has always been super, super strong, but because it's so strong, I've injured something, in my hand and wrist area and other places so many times, like I had to, adjust and start top rolling. And because of that, I've really learned how to flow around different styles of top rollers. And I've also, against most guys, my arm is shorter than most guys. So I get to set up pretty much vertical every time, which allows me to have high riser and anytime I pull. So anytime I get high riser, I just feel very, very confident in the match. And I'm also not one of those guys that I hit, my hand goes back, and I'm just going to keep blasting sideways. I'm one of those guys that, hits, hand cracks a little, immediately retreat, and then try to fight from there.
right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember you guys were talking about the rules on a podcast and how it was going to be difficult, to set up and all this stuff between me and Cody. And what's interesting is traditionally, or at least he's a high knuckle up posting top roller, and I'm more of a low hand top roller, which means we're going to give each other what we want. I mean, if I bring my knuckles down because that's what I want, his knuckles are going to be up, which is what he
What he
wants.
wants.
So I don't think we're going to be, at least in the first match. Now we all
Yeah.
have B's and plan C's, and if whoever loses the first match is going to make an adjustment. Most people, if they win their first match, they just rinse and repeat, because they assume it's going to work again. But if I win the first match, he's going to make some kind of adjustment. I know it because he's a smart puller. And if I lose the first match, I'm definitely going to make an adjustment. And because even though I call myself a one trick pony, there's 10 different ways to do that one trick.
I think that that's actually a fair assessment of how the matches are going to go. The first round, you guys are just going to do what you normally do, where you're most comfortable, and it's going to actually appease each other. But I do think whomever loses, that's I think what we were talking about. You're going to make the micro adjustments that makes the other one a little more uncomfortable, a little bit more uneasy at the start. And hey, wait, this is not where I'm comfortable. I'm not in my spot that I normally would want to necessarily be in. I need to readjust on the fly based off of what this person's bringing to the table. Like plan A wasn't, even though I may have won, round one, that same plan won't work twice in this setting.
Right.
Um, that's going to be a really tell of the tape by way of the match, guys. Whoever's watching, please tune into Major Arm Wrestling Championships YouTube channel. If you want to go ahead and click on the link right here, scan the QR code. All the streaming for it will be on the Major Arm Wrestling Championship channel. Please know that we will have some of the best angles you could ever see. So you can screen record it from there and watch and tune in from there. That is the spot to see it all. Real quick, we have some more people in the chat that I want to shout out. We got Candy Passport. What's up? We got Jeremy Romano in the house. What's up? Lucky Ones Podcast. How's it going? And Adam Hernandez, all the way from Puerto Rico, tuning in. Thank you, guys. If you have any questions for Cody or Bob or myself or for Jeremy, for that matter, I'll be happy to answer them here on the stream. So, are you guys familiar with the location that we're competing at?
I mean, I've been to Winston-Salem a few times, but I don't know about the location itself.
Okay. So, Bob, I know you're big into history. You enjoy a good story. I did a little digging on it because, the name of it kind of got me interested. It's called Roar, and it's called Roar because it actually is a nod to the establishment that was from the Roaring Twenties, back in the Prohibition era, and it used to be the spot, the place to be where you need to grease some palms. Other than Chicago or Manhattan, that's where a lot of hits were taking place, and part of it got closed down because of a hit that happened. And they reopened it and they brought it back with a new energy because it's kind of like a Dave and Buster's type of deal. One floor, another floor is a bowling alley and a restaurant galore. But pretty cool history on it.
Oh, cool.
Trust me, Bob remembers all of it. He was like 45 or 55 at that point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Drew.
Young whippersnapper.
So I know you guys have been on a few shows, and I'm not going to bore you with all of the matches, but is there any match, and I'm going to start with you, Cody. Is there any match that stands out that you're more excited about other than your own with Bob?
There's two.
I'm really excited to see Bryce Meadows and Gray Prokopki.
Okay.
I think that's probably my most anticipated match because Gray is so young. He's like 18. He's built for arm wrestling, and he's going to be able to make you pull him 1 month, it's not going to be the same as you pull him the next month, because he's so young. And Bryce is, the same way. But they're both so talented. But I do think Gray's style is dangerous for Bryce's style. So I'm interested to see, like, is Bryce, weight classes matter too much? Or if Gray is going to be able to increase enough to, make that a super interesting match.
I happen to agree with that. I had the pleasure of seeing Grayson over at the Monster Factory, and I was impressed with him. Really strong young man, and I could tell that he had a bright future ahead of him. I've yet to actually arm wrestle or see Bryce, but I have watched videos of him, and I'm impressed there. I do know Bryce he's dropping down in weight a little bit to make this, and Grayson's going up in weight a little bit. So that definitely, does he gain more power? Is he going to be more comfortable at that because he's so young? I guess we'll have to wait and see August 15th.
Which of these two guys was at the Monster Factory?
The Grayson Papaki.
And was that the one that I was at as well?
The Monster Factory 6? I don't think so. This is the last one that he had. Were you there? I don't think you were there.
You do that cold
Oh
spray
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, you were there. Yeah, you were there.
Yeah. So who did Grayson arm wrestle there?
Um, was it Trayton? No, not Trayton.
Trey or
Trey Sweet. It was the
Oh,
first match, I think.
okay. I'm trying to picture who this kid is.
I think it was the first match. He was a young kid. He was there with his dad. They both um, went to Worlds, and I think he got.
Oh, okay. Now I do know who you mean. Oh yeah, he was impressive that day too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Very good. Um, for me, I don't really honestly I don't follow arm wrestling as close as most people think I would, but uh, I like Paul Passmore, so I'll be interested in his match, and I like Josh Ellington, so I'll be interested in his match.
sorry, Josh. I sorry, Bob. I got to correct. It's Ellington.
Ellington. Okay. Sorry.
It's okay. Everyone's adding vowels to his name.
Uh, so yeah, I'm interested in them. But a lot of those guys, I don't really know who they are. I'm not on the East Coast anymore, and I don't follow it as closely as people probably think I do.
That's fair. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm pretty upset with Jeremy with setting up this card because some of my favorite people are facing off against each other. You two included. And people that I'm on the same team with. Like, how do I root against my teammate? But then, how do I root against my close dear friend? Or somebody who I've actually had in my own house.
Right.
You know, like as Bob says, my head wants to say, Cody's going to win, but my heart wants to say Bob because he's been in my house. Um, and similar with Paul Cruz going up against Josh. Paul's lives here on Long Island. He's been one of my training partners. I've worked with him. I've gone to events with him, type of deal. And he's going against my teammate Josh, who I've never met, but he's still a teammate nonetheless. So, I do think that there's an insane lineup that we have, coming down the pipeline. We're gonna have some great talent coming all the way from Canada as well. The Candy Passmore's match, if she's still in the chat watching, that's going to be her versus a Canadian. Another one that I'm looking forward to is Merlene's match against Gina Stuckless. I don't know if Bob, are you familiar with who Merlene is?
I know who Merlene is, yeah, and she's amazing. I don't know the other girl.
The other girl just recently won Arnold's. And so she's a Canadian powerhouse. So she trains under, I believe, Crazy George.
Okay.
I've met Gina. We played cards after a tournament not too long ago, or a round robin not too long ago. I just think Marlene's just like, if you're not number one or a contender for number one, I think Marlene's just too much. She's a freak.
I concur with that. Gina's really cool. She's got great accolades, but I think even though there's a size discrepancy a little bit, I think Marlene is the favorite on that. Because it's not my event that I'm throwing out. I can throw out those predictions.
So I just want to make sure I understood something that you said.
Yeah.
You said with your mind, you think Cody's going to win, but with your heart, you want me to win. Which tells me you think Cody's going to win. Oh.
Well, they're playing tug of war on my soul. They're playing tug of war. Bob's exiting stage left. No, listen, in all honesty, I think it's going to be a 3-2 match. I genuinely do believe it's going to be a 3-2, and it can go either which way. I really don't have a clear favorite. As long as, and which I do believe Bob gets to stop, which I think he will get to stop. I think that that's the outcome we're looking at. And I do think, like I was saying before, it's going to be tendon versus musculature. And we're going to see probably this match, even though you say you're one trick pony with 10 different avenues of that trick. I think we're going to see a full clinic of arm wrestling within just your one match. And, everyone needs to pay attention especially everyone who's here in the pit at the seminar that Bob Brown had. If you're not paying attention and taking notes and coming back to me, hey, I know what he did there. Then you know what? Like you wasted your time with our seminar.
There's so many different ways that match can go out. I mean, there's really 4 ways. Either I'm too strong, Bob's too strong. Either I go out early and then he gets a stop and comes back, or he gets a stop and I'm able to make the adjustments. Like those are really the 4 outcomes.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what
way to make it anticlimactic, Cody.
Well, yeah, no, I'm the thing I'm most curious, like if I wasn't in this match, but I knew the 2 guys, the thing that I'm most curious about is because I 100% think this match is going to stop. We're going to be in the straps. But what I'm curious about is what does Cody do from there? That's the part that interests me as a fan, and of course interests me as his opponent. And so I've been thinking about, all right, what will Cody do from here? And then I've got to deal with it, but that's the, because I'm more into the lack of a better word, martial art aspect of arm wrestling, the move and the counter move and all. I mean, that's the stuff that I really know really, really, really well. And, with a healthy arm, I can do all of it at a really high level. And I'm just curious as to, if I'm a black belt, what is Cody? I don't know. I don't know what Cody is.
That's a great point. I think
that is
and,
what I'm interested in.
and I think that's what the entire community loves this match because we want to see where Cody is in a technical aspect. And when the match stops, because I agree with you, Bob, I do think it is going to stop. I don't, as much power as you have available to you, Cody, I think Bob is going to be able to put the brakes on you inches away from the pin pad and then bring it back center table. And then that's where we're going to really see the magic happen. And we're going to see what kind of arm wrestler you really are. And, I think that this is going to be the greatest way to highlight you as an arm wrestler, not just, the guy who does a shit ton of pull-ups and arm wrestles, and that's not something personally, I've never viewed you as such, but, I know that's the stigma some people see you as, and I'm excited to see the technical aspect of Cody because of all the videos I've watched of late, like, dude, the fingertip pressure, versus the finger pad pressure, which thank you for clarifying that, Bob, on last night's podcast on Through the Fingers. Big shout out to Brian Parliament and his crew. But, I am a big believer of fingertip pressure. And how I train fingertip pressure, I'm sure Cody's familiar with this one. I don't know if you are, Bob, but I literally stick my fingertips into it.
Right.
And I think that has helped my overall containment better than any of the other handles out there. I've yet to experience Cody's handle, which I do plan on purchasing one. Look at that. Nice. I'm looking. Everyone, reach out to Cody Wood. And you can go ahead and you can get one of them. They're $60 plus shipping.
Yep.
Reach out to Cody Woods on Facebook, Instagram. But I would love to see how that differs. I mean, you could tell this thing is blackened out because of how much I use it. I use it on everything, on pull-ups. I use it on curls. I use it on my cupping bracket. And I swear that's where, because I have a small hand, my hand sits on the ridge of someone else's, like the back of their wrist right there. I can't wrap around them because I have stubby little fingers. So I need to strengthen my fingertips to be able to have that comfortable shell. So I'm a firm believer of your training style, and Bob's fills in the blank. Bob's training style fills in a lot of the questions that I had. Oh, that's what I was doing wrong about positioning and pressure wise and what angle I need to apply this at. So, you both have a very strong technical aspect, and Bob has a way of explaining what you've been trying to put out there, which I think is unparalleled in our community, because we can have the eclectic knowledge of the sport, right? Not to go too much more on a tangent, but I was talking to one of my newer training partners, and he's like, "Why do I not get it?" And I said, "Because somebody hasn't said it the way that makes sense. Not yet. They're going to say the same thing that I said, and he said, and she said a million times. You've heard it, but there's going to be one person that says it in a way that you understand, and you're just going to have that light bulb go off, and you're like, oh, that makes sense."
Yeah, I've had that happen so many times. I'm trying to explain something to someone, they're not getting it, and then someone else walks up and says something, and all of a sudden they got it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, so now I paid attention to what this guy said, and so over the years I've learned just better ways to explain stuff, and I think I'm pretty good at explaining stuff, but I mean, I still have problems sometimes, and things that just look so simple to me. Like I don't understand how
I do
risk
not
curl
see it the way I see it.
not see it the way I see it. I don't think that doesn't make sense. Like I'm telling someone you gotta get a stronger wrist. Or you got your wrist is getting beat because your fingers aren't strong enough. I just assume who I'm talking to knows this, and they're working out their fingers for containment so they can show off how strong their wrist really is. And they weren't. Um, Cody, did I talk about Jeff Nadler last night?
I don't believe so.
No.
So here's a perfect story to explain this. Jeff Nadler was an arm wrestler out of New Jersey. He later moved to Florida. Jeff comes over to my house. He wants to learn how to arm wrestle. I am taking this guy's wrist like it's on a well oiled hinge very easily. I naturally say, you got to get your wrist stronger. And he goes, well, I can wrist curl 300 pounds with one hand. And in my mind, I instantly go, no, you can't. You're an idiot. Like, no. Well, the next day, we find ourselves in my gym. In my gym, the heaviest dumbbell is 130 pounds. This is 30 plus years ago. He puts that dumbbell over his knee with one hand and just starts repping it out like it's nothing. And I'm looking at this going, what am I? I mean, he got to like 50 reps. I'm like, all right, I believe you. Your wrist is freaking nature. And you have to think of the time. This is 30 years ago. I said, have you even heard of a V-shaped gripper? Like, he's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, oh my God. I reached around my table. I handed him one. I'm like, squeeze that. Turn it upside down. Squeeze that. Great. Just go squeeze that for the next year. I ran into him a year later. I could not move him off center. Could not budge his hand at all. His wrist was so freakishly strong. His fingers were so freakishly weak that his wrist didn't mean anything. And so to me, it's just strange that even today, if someone thinks you have a weak wrist, it might be because your fingers are weak. And I just assume that anyone who's doing wrist curls is also working out their hand like this and their hand like this, all the different knuckle joints
Yep.
is what creates containment. And it's strange that people just don't understand that, but they don't.
They don't understand the full body mechanics that's involved. The intrinsic hand muscles are very crucial to the sport. And once somebody realizes that, then it's like off to the races for them. I had one guy, he actually he's like he was against buying a set of these. They're only $15 on Amazon. They're called Talon grips. They're fairly inexpensive, fairly easy to work with. You can do a lot of workout. He ended up getting them after like being a year in the sport, and similar story. I could risk curling an ungodly amount, but I was always taking his hand, taking his hand, taking his hand, and he's like, finally, I'll buy a pair, and he buys a pair, in a fairly short period of time. I wouldn't say it was a year later. It was probably a couple months later. It got to the point where, okay, I'm having a harder time taking his hand. I could still do it. And then it got to a point where I couldn't even budge. And
Right.
so, I mean, the moral of the story, guys, is train the fingers as much as you train everything else.
Yeah.
Like Cody has been saying, you know, and it's so funny. After you mentioned Cody, after your video, I saw a video pop up from Devin Lorette where he was visited one of the world's strongest rock climbers, and they were doing this like pinch grip lift, and he couldn't, for the life of him, lift up the weight that these guys were just casually lifting, and they were literally a fraction the size of him. They were like less than half his body weight, and they're just lifting up this with their finger strength because they just train regularly, holding their entire body weight for hours,
And
just
a couple of
hanging
them are
out.
arm wrestling specific handles too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and they're just hanging out. Like they could read a whole book while just hanging out, type of deal. That's the kind of strength we need to be focused on as a community, as a sport. And we'll see, more challenges at the table
Yeah.
with that in mind.
So I used to do a lot of rock climbing. Before I lost my leg, I climbed more than I arm wrestled. And that's when my hands were at their strongest. And I used to be able to, you know, uh, deadlift with a rolling thunder, a 3-inch rolling thunder. I could pick up about 140 pounds. Well, I haven't been able to do that in a long time. I haven't rock climbed in years and years and years and years. Well, I decided I wanted to start climbing again because I'm as equally passionate about climbing as I am arm wrestling. So a few months ago, there's a small little climbing gym inside the gym I go to all the time. And for whatever reason, I never went. Well, I started to go, and sure enough, my fingers are starting to get a lot stronger. I mean, the first
Shit.
the first day I went climbing, I I did this one route, and if you know ratings, it was a 5.7, which means it's nothing of a route. And I made it to the top, but I was dead tired, and my hands were wasted. I had to just come down, jump down, and now I'm on that same climb, and I'll go up it and down it and up it and down it and up it and down it, and my hands, they don't get tired. And I can do all the
Yeah.
other climbs in the gym. We have self belayers, so I don't need layer to climb, which is why I'm able to go there so much. But all the self belayers, they're on a 5.7, a 5.8, and a 5.9. So like the 5.9 is the hardest thing I'm climbing. But for me, I'm not. I'm using it to get my hands stronger, and I always down climb when I can, because you learn to climb going up, you get strong climbing down, and so I
Really, I
always
never knew that.
down climb, and so my hands they're not like they were 20 years ago, but they're better. So yeah,
Well,
you're screwed.
real, real quick, we'll talk about that in a moment. But Dan Flexman's in the chat. What's up, man? And we got my son who's in the chat. He's saying hi to you, Bob.
Hey,
Uh, and he did ask me because I told him about our fiasco with Coney Island and getting Nathan's hot dog. So here, I'm going to raise the stakes for you, Bob. If you win, I'll overnight you a Nathan's hot dog.
That thing's gonna be so
For
gross
those
by
of
the time it
you,
gets there.
yeah, Can it still be uncooked and in a frozen package?
Mold pre-installed.
Yeah. When I went to a seminar out there at his house, on the way back to the airport, I'm like, hey, can we stop at Nathan's so I can get a hot dog? Because I'd never been there. And, I watch the annual July 4th hot dog eating contest every year because it's just the greatest thing in the world. And I'm like, oh, I got to go get a hot dog. Well, we got there and I got a picture of it, but I couldn't get we didn't have time. We had to get to the airport. But
because it's literally a half hour or 20 minutes past the airport, and we thought we had enough time, but there was a lot of traffic, and I mean it was a hot day too, so people were lined out the door,
yeah,
for hot dogs. So, but next time you come to New York, that will be the first stop.
that'd be the first shot.
That
Yeah.
will be the first stop.
Cody, have you ever seen the annual 4th of July Nathan's hot dog eating contest?
I might have. Is that the one with the guy that they banned from food eating contests because he's too good?
Joey Chestnut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've watched a couple of their clips.
Okay. Is go on YouTube and type in Nathan's hot dog eating contest introductions. And of course, if the whole thing's not very long, but the introductions that they do, this guy George Shea, are the most epic introductions in the world. I mean, it's like, God created a shark that came out of the ocean with jaws of steel and walked like a man and started devouring hot dogs. I mean, these are the types of introductions, and they're so good. I told Robert Baxter, I'm like, you need to do these types of introductions, and they can be short or they can be longer and more theatrical, and they're just so, I love them so much. The actual eating of the hot dogs is no big deal to me, but I just love the introductions. Just go on YouTube and find the introductions. They're awesome.
All right, I'll check those out after our interview.
Yeah. So, but can we? I mean, I don't mean to be the old guy, but can we?
No,
maybe
I was just gonna say. We've been at this for about an hour. I wanted to ask you, gentlemen, if you have any questions for me or any messages you want to share with our audience. Any closing notes for each other, because it is only 5 sleeps away till you guys meet at the table. Cody, go ahead.
Yeah, Cody, go.
I just hope his peaking process goes good. I hope he's healthy, and hope his cut goes well because I know he's going to cut a few pounds as well. And hope he shows up healthy and we have a good match.
I same sentiment here. I really just hope for no injuries. We come out of this healthy. If we come out of it with our arms dead, that's fine. Just I really don't want any injuries. That's my the thing I hate the most. As far as my cut goes, I have weighed 180. We agreed at 185. If you didn't know that, Daniel, and I have been weighing 187 between 185 and 189 for the last 2 months. So there's really no cut. I'm just not going to eat that day. And I'm sure I'll make weight.
That's why we pulled. Oh man, I feel really bad because we pulled you out of the hot tub early. That's why you were in the hot tub.
I brought up my workouts.
I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, I get in a sauna for 10 minutes, a hot tub for about 5 minutes, and then I jump into the cold swimming pool just to cool my body down, and I swim just 2 or 4 laps is it. And that's the end of all of my work. No matter what I do at the gym, I end it with that every day. And so,
well, that's a good routine right there. I actually want to start get my own sauna here, so maybe that might be a new addition next year in the pit. We'll have our own sauna here.
I really like mine. We've got one of those, just little tent saunas. pretty awesome.
Nice.
You know, we have one too, but we don't have anywhere like to put it. So I wanted to actually get one of those outdoor, like log
Nice
cabin
ones.
looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an investment. I know that, but you know what? It's
Check Marketplace. I've actually seen free ones on there.
really. Oh, well,
Check Marketplace. I have seen free wooden saunas on there,
duly noted.
as well as hot tubs. I've seen free hot tubs on there all the time.
Yeah.
Well, listen, be careful. My wife is
watching.
watching. You can give her ideas. She was wanting a hot tub. She's been wanting a sauna
You're
like that.
Hope you get a crane to uninstall somebody's hot tub.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and everyone who's at home, thank you for watching. Listen again, everyone. If you subscribe to the Major Arm Wrestling Championship YouTube channel, scan that QR code. It will take you right to their channel. It is going to be live streamed by Red Lightning, and so we're going to have amazing camera angles. Interviews, I think, will be happening as well. There's going to be a lot of entertainment there, a lot of things for the family to do. Enjoy the show. I hope everyone has safe travels to the event. I hope everyone has a great experience at the tables. I know it's both Bob and Cody's first time competing at a MAC table. Bob's met a MAC table before here at the pit, so I'm curious to see if that actually changes the game a little bit. Tune in and we'll all find out. Stay on screen for a second.